Hi everyone, I am Ms. Macedo. Welcome to our lesson. In today's lesson, you are going to learn about fiction versus non-fiction. Are you ready? Let's get started. You will learn the definition of fiction and non-fiction, the difference between fiction and non-fiction, and types of fiction and non-fiction. Let's start by defining fiction. Fiction, stories that have made up characters and events. What are the three types of fiction? They are novel, novella, and short story. There are three main forms of fiction. Novel, long work of fiction, contains the basic elements of fiction, may contain subplots along with the main plot. Subplots are independent related stories. 2. Novella is shorter than a novel but longer than a short story. 3. Short story. Brief work of fiction contains basic elements of fiction, one main plot, one conflict. Most can be read in one sitting. So the three types of fiction are novel, novella, and short story. Now, let's look at non-fiction. The definition of non-fiction is real books that tell, inform, teach, and explain. The forms of non-fiction: autobiography, biography, essay, informational article, and interview. Remember, fiction is not real, and non-fiction is real. Now, let's look at fiction versus non-fiction side by side. Fiction is stories about made-up characters and events. Non-fiction, literature that explains ideas or describes real people, place, and events. Fiction, a made-up story, can tell about things that could happen, is read for fun. Characters may be like real people or imaginary. Non-fiction has facts that can be checked and proven. The author is an expert on his information. Let's look again at fiction versus non-fiction side by side. Fiction, not real. Non-fiction, real. Fiction, story talk. Non-fiction, fact talk. Fiction, you read to enjoy. Non-fiction, you read to learn. Fiction, you read in order. Non-fiction, you read in any way. Fiction has illustrations. Non-fiction has graphs, charts, and pictures. Fiction has beginning, middle, and end. Non-fiction has table of contents. Fiction has characters and setting. Non-fiction has glossary, index, and bold words. Fiction has problems and solution in a story. Non-fiction has information and directions. Let's look at the last slides of non-fiction and fiction side by side. Fiction refers to plots, setting, and characters created from the imagination. Non-fiction refers to factual stories that are based on real people and true events. Fiction. We read or watch this material for fun. Non-fiction. We read or watch this material for information. An example of fiction: a book about cats. A book about a cat that talks. A cartoon on TV. Nonfiction, an example would be a book about animal life cycle. A documentary on TV. So fiction is not real, is made up stories. And nonfiction is real. Now, let's see if you learned. Fiction or non-fiction? Which bear is fiction? And this one or this one? Which bear is non-fiction? Go back, look at the definition of fiction and non-fiction and complete this activity. Which bear is fiction? Point to the fictional bear. Which bear is non-fiction? Point to the non-fictional bear. I have also included this activity with the video. In this activity, you are going to place the book titles. You see here on the bottom? We have all these book titles, all about snakes, the flying bike. So what you're going to do, you are going to place all about snakes. Is this title fiction or non-fiction? It is non-fiction because in this book you will learn everything about snakes. So I'll put it here. Now, the flying bike. Should I put it under non-fiction or under fiction? I'm going to put here in fiction because the flying bikes don't fly. So I know that this is a made up story, so it is fiction. Okay, I'm including a worksheet along with this video. So remember, today we learned about fiction and non-fiction. Thanks for watching the video.